of Education and Teacher Training, English Department, batch 2018. Big city in Indonesia. Indonesia has a lot of cities. Big city can be differentiated into different ways. First is based on their population, and second is by its development. We know that the biggest city in Indonesia is Jakarta. It is also the biggest metropolitan city in Indonesia and also the capital city of the Indonesia itself. Jakarta is one of the cities in Indonesia with a rapid economic growth, supported by trade, services, property, creative and financial sectors. More insight about the big cities in Indonesia, I have interviewed Anita Zulrakhmida Fajriani to give her opinion about the big cities in Indonesia and also give the comparison between the big cities in Indonesia and also the big cities in the other countries. So now, let's move on to the interview. In the interview, I asked her what does she think about the big city in Indonesia.
Okay. What do I think about big cities in Indonesia? First, it's always crowded. Second, it is hard to find a house. First, it's always crowded. We see in Jakarta, Bandung, Surabaya, or Makassar, all the big cities in Indonesia, there is always traffic jam. Why that's happened? That's happened because the area is not matched with the people. The area is very small, but there's a lot of people. That's also affecting to the housing. In the big cities, it's really hard for the people to get a proper house because they do not get the area to fulfill their need. So that's what I think about big cities.
Second questions, I asked her how does she classify big cities into big cities or not.
So I classify big cities into two aspects. The first is the title of the city. The second is the development of the city. The first is about the title of the city. If it is the capital city of the province, we can consider that city is a big city. Let's take example Banjarmasin. Banjarmasin is the capital city of South Kalimantan. So we can consider it as big cities. Big city. Why? Because compared to other city around Banjarmasin, Banjarmasin is the most crowded. And then the second is about the development of the city. Most of the capital city in Indonesia have more development rather than cities around them. Let's take example on how Banjarmasin has big development rather than other city like Kandangan or Tanjung. So we can consider big cities as that to expect.
Next is about the requirements to be a big city based on her opinion.
In my opinion, there are three aspects for city to become a big city. The first one is about the access, the second one is about the economic condition, and the third about the public service. The first is about the access. Because big city need more people to develop the city, so they need to have a proper access. Let's say they need to have an international standard of airport, and the second, they may also have a big harbor. Let's say some big cities in Indonesia, let's say in Jakarta, they have an international standard of airport and they also have a big harbor. It also happened in Banjarmasin. We have a big airport and we also have a big harbor, so the access of people coming and out is easier. So it also impacted to the economic condition. When there is a lot of people who come to the city, means that the economic condition will be increased. There's a lot of investor that coming to the cities to make to develop the city, and there's a lot of people to become the human resource of the cities. So because of there's a lot of people coming to the city, we need the good public services. Let's say in public transportation, big cities in Indonesia mostly have a good public transportation. Let's say in Jakarta now we have MRT, we also have busway or Transjakarta. In Surabaya we also have a free bus. So it really matters for big city to have a good transportation. It's also about the health system in the big city. They should have a very good public services so the people that coming to the city will be served well.
What is the impact of becoming a big city?
So what is the impact for city when they become big cities? First is about the economic condition. There will be a lot of change on that because there's a lot of people coming to the city and they make a new job fair for people. So people will get a new job and then it will also increase their economic condition. And the second is about the area also, because there's a lot of people coming, means that they need more housing, they need more place to go. So there's a lot of new building, so it will make the city become crowded, and then it also create a problem where people hard to find housing when the amount of people is not equal with the big of the area. So yeah, that's the effect of the cities.
After the impact for the big cities itself, then what is the impact toward the government? What can the government get from the big cities?
What can government get from big city? First is the tax. Why? Because the new building, the new company that built their building in the city will pay tax to this government. Not only the building tax but also the economy activity tax. So the government will get that income. And the second, government also get help in terms of reducing the unemployment, because when it become big cities and the economic condition is getting increased, the society will get more job. There will be a job vacancy for them. So I think big city really help government in terms of economic condition.
Is the characteristic of the people in the big city different with the non-big cities?
Yes, I think big city society is really different with usual city society. Why I can say it so? Because of the phase of life in big cities really fast, because they need to fulfill their need, and then they only have limited time because of the traffic jam. So they have different characteristic. They become more ambitious and then more work driven, or let's say workaholic, because they need to fulfill their daily need in big cities. And in big cities the outcome of the people is different. They use a lot of money, they spend a lot of money to fulfill their daily needs. It's kind of different within usual city, where people life kind of slow and then the price is not really high, so people do not really focus in terms of work. But yeah, it's different.
We know that you have ever visited Australia, right? So now, how is Indonesia's big city compared to the big cities in Australia?
Let me compare big city in Indonesia and Australia, Jakarta and Melbourne. It's really different in terms of the traffic. In Jakarta, we can say that there is a lot of traffic jam, but then in Melbourne, they have less traffic jam. Why it happened? Because in Melbourne, people tend to use public transportation or walking, but then in Jakarta, people use their personal transportation. And it also impacted to the other different aspect, whether that is the quality of the air. in Melbourne the quality of the air is really good, but then in Jakarta is really bad. We know that there is a lot of pollution in Jakarta because of the impact of the traffic. So it also impacted to the quality of the life. I could say the quality of the life in Melbourne doesn't feel like big cities because it is not really crowded, because they have a big area but then less people in Jakarta. In Jakarta they have a lot of people but then less area, so it is hard for people to find a house in Jakarta, but it is easier to find a housing in Melbourne. So yeah, I could see that that's the difference between Jakarta and Melbourne.
So now, what kind of aspect that we can take from the Australia's big cities to improve the big cities in Indonesia?
What we can take from big cities in other country or big cities in our country. First is about the public transportation. The public transportation is really good. The system is really good. It is always on time, it is clean, it is safe, and people love to use it because of those aspects. I think that transportation in Indonesia is not really safe. Sometimes it is dirty, so people do not want to go to public transportation. So I think that's the aspect that we need to take from other cities for our big cities. The transportation should have a good system, so people will use less private or personal transportation. They will use public transportation more, and it will make the traffic less, and then the quality of the air is also better because of that.
And last but not least, what is your solution to improve Indonesia's big cities?
I think the solution for some problems in our big cities not only come from the government, but we as the society should help the government first. What should we do as a society? First, we need to take care of the public services. We need to take care of our public transportation by do not put your rubbish everywhere. Put it in the rubbish bin. And then we need to remind each other to be more careful when we use public transportation. And then maybe we also have to make ourselves be more on time, so we do not make the public transportation late. And then for the government, I hope the government will add more public transportation, not only in Jakarta but cities, big cities in Indonesia. Let's say in Banjarmasin, we do really need a good public transportation, so we can use less motorcycle. So I think the solution of the problem should be from the both sides, the society and the government.
So, based on the interview, she said that big cities is always crowded. It is also hard to find a house in the big cities because of the population's issue. And the classification of big cities is also depends on the title of the cities itself, whether the title of the city is a capital city of the province or not. And also, the requirement to become a big city is always about 3 points. First is about the easiest access to go to the big cities itself. For example, like international airport, international harbor, and also to get the more investor to come to the big cities itself, to gain the economical conditions of a country, of a cities itself. And also about the public services, for example, like public transportation and also healthcare system, that is really need to be improved for the big cities itself. And the impact of the big cities, it will give the impacts for two person or two people. It is for the society inside of the big cities and also for the government itself. For the society, they will have the more job vacancy, and for the government itself, the government can get the taxes from the big cities itself, like the building taxes and also the economical activities taxes, and also it helps the government to reduce the unemployment cases happen in the big cities itself. The society between the big cities and non-big cities is also different. The society in the big cities have the characteristic, for example, like ambitious, workaholic, and also the society conditions, their outcome is actually bigger than the society in a non-big cities. And also the comparison towards the other country, we see that the Melbourne cities has really good public services, has no traffic jam, and the quality of their air is really good based on the Anita said. That is different with Jakarta that has a lot of pollutions, and the quality of the life in the Melbourne is also different with Jakarta. And also what can we take from the case in the Melbourne is that we really need to have also a good public transportation. For example, like an on-time transportation, safe and also clean, so that people will love to use the public transportation in order to decrease the using of the private transportations, and also to have less traffic jam. And her solutions for the cities in Indonesia is that they should coming from the society and also the government. The society really need to take care of the public services. The society has to not throwing the rubbish all around the places. It's supposed to be in the rubbish bin, and also about the punctuality of or the on time of the people itself should be a habit that the Indonesian people have. And also the government also have to add the more public transportations in order to decrease the using of private transportation, so that the pollutions will be good and also the traffic jam will also be decreased. Alright, now we're at the end of the video. Thank you so much for Anita for helping me and for helping us to get the new insight of the big cities. And also thank you so much for all of you guys who have watching this video, and bye!